to another episode of the Decision Hour. I'm your host, Adam Bird. Folks, I'm stoked about this interview that I got lined up for you today. I met this gentleman. He became a quick friend of mine. Met a couple months ago at an event. And for all you fathers out there, pay attention to this one. And in fact, grab a piece of paper and a pen, something to write with. You're going to want to take notes on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome my friend David Pisarra. David, how are you, my friend?
I am fine as frog hair. I am so happy to be here.
This is going to be a good one. I freaking love this. David, I appreciate your time out of your busy schedule to come talk with our listeners today. Let's kick this off. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
So I am the most unlikely champion for fathers on a planet. I am a single gay man with no kids. Makes no sense whatsoever, right? Like racially, you're like, what? You're a champion for dads?
Yeah.
Yes, because I spent 25 years sitting in family court watching men get destroyed.
Yeah.
Mostly when they're not represented by anybody. When they're trying to self-represent, when they're trying to go in and fight for their rights. And as a consequence, after 25 years, I'm like, somebody's got to do something. And well, somebody is me. So what I've done is I'm trying to create a program and a community of dads who are fighting for their kids and give them the skills they need to be more effective in court.
And folks, those of you that are listening right now, it means you're already online. So open up another browser. I want you to go to unionofdads.com. unionofdads.com. David, first off, thank you as a man who was a single father for 15 years. Thank you for what you're doing. I look at this and I often ask myself, why do the guys get it so bad in court? Why is it that they, it seems like every state, in the country, the majority of the states are very mother friendly. It seems like, and this is, mind you, my situation was almost 20 years ago now, but even back then it was very mother friendly. And very, very rare did you ever see the father get custody of the kids at all. And it didn't matter how good the guy was. It wasn't happening. Why do the court systems in the United States, why do they favor the mother so much and not the fathers? Is there a certain perception there that we're missing?
There's three main factors.
Okay.
And the first is society says, Mom, apple pie, and Chevrolet. Like, I don't know if you're old enough to remember those commercials. Right? But I'm old enough for like the Chevy commercials were like, at the end, it would be like, Mom, apple pie, and Chevrolet. We just have a cultural bend. Ignoring what the feminists on the far left have to say about the patriarchy.
Yeah.
We have a societal bend to put moms on a pedestal. We put them above everything and they can't do anything wrong. And so as a consequence, we're going in, we already have a mindset that she's the better parent. And a lot of men are raised with that belief. A lot of men have this understanding, I think falsely, that moms are automatically the better parent. So we've got the societal issue.
Okay.
Then we've got how can a man fight in court against a woman who goes in and says, I'm afraid of him. I'm the victim, with the domestic violence restraining orders. Those are a huge factor these days because the way that the domestic violence restraining orders operate, person goes into court and says, I'm afraid of X.
Yeah.
And the judge's immediate reaction is going to be, okay, keep them apart. Rational reaction. I don't know what's really going on yet. It's a temporary basis. Let's start there. But what it does is it puts the other person on their back foot. So if I've started out by swinging, now you're coming uphill. You've got somebody who's going into court trying to say, But wait, I'm really not that person. Well, you're fighting against a lie.
Right.
So how do you fight a lie? That's extremely difficult to do on the one.
Right.
And then thirdly, you've got the men who have this, I can't do that. She's the mother of my children. It's the kryptonite. I was doing a Zoom session. I do Zoom sessions with guys, like 15, 30 minutes, just to get an idea of where they're at with their case and if my programs can help them.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this one guy, and he was saying, well, I've been on child support for the last 18 years with my wife. And I'm like, wait, what? Huh? That doesn't, you're married. You don't have child support when you're married. He's like, well, she put me on child support with our first kid. And when the papers came in, she said, don't worry about it. It's nothing. So I ignored it.
Oh, no.
So he's got 18 years worth of child support for a kid that he's already paid and supported to live with him once. Now he has to pay again.
Wait,
now
is that just a way of her? That, to me, that sounds like she's trying to, but they're married. So to me,
married.
That makes me sound like she's trying to get some type of monthly stipend or something, and she's trying to do something shady or sneaky.
It's completely shady and completely snaky, and that's exactly what happened. They lived together for 18 years. They raised their kid together. He paid for the mortgage, the food, the utilities, did everything he's supposed to do as a husband.
Yeah.
All the while, there's this sleeping child support case, and they go get at the end of their marriage. She's like, well, there's all this money that he still owes me for the child support. Child support is saying, well, you've never paid anything. And he's like, why would I pay for anything? The kid was living with me. So now he's got to go fight that battle.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
I wish
that is so infuriating to hear.
Adam, you know me. I'm twisted. I'm not that twisted. Yeah,
well,
I can't come up with that one.
That's the first. Like, I've heard about a lot of shady stuff going on. And listen, guys, we're not perfect. I'm going to throw us under the bus too. Like, there's guys out there that do the same thing. But to hear a woman being married, it's like, okay, I'm going to put this together. That was premeditated. That was orchestrated. That woman had a plan, God bless her if she stuck with it for the whole 18 years before they got divorced. That's some stuff right there.
So my point was, men have this kryptonite. I can't do that to her.
Right.
So I said, okay, so where are we? He's like, we're in the middle of the divorce. She's in the house. I'm paying the utilities. They're in my name. She won't take them out of my name. I'm like, why don't you go to the utilities and take them out of your name if you're getting a divorce? He's like, I can't do that. She's the mother of my kids.
Oh, no.
I'm like, dude, so if you're not willing to show up and fight for yourself, I don't think you then have the right to turn around and say, well, the system's against me.
Right. It's not the system at that point. This is the one thing I've learned. Mind you, those of you that have followed me for, the last half decade or so, you have to come to the realization that once you get over the emotional side of it, you have to go into a business. Now, I don't like saying, like, if you're getting a divorce and you have children, I don't like to say, okay, now it's now a business transaction, right? And you have to look at it that way. I'm not saying it in a sense of your kids are now a business transaction. No, that's not what I'm saying. The relationship between you and now your soon-to-be or your now ex becomes a business transaction. It's a partnership or business partnership there. That's it. Because if you start thinking about yourself and everything else, and you're not thinking about the kids, you have to think about the kids. But in order to be present, in order to be full and give the kids what you want and to make sure that they have a good life, you have to look out for number one first and foremost. Because if you're not healthy mentally, it's not going to do any good for anybody. So guys out there, it's not... I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, but I honestly think that a lot of the times what happens is ego gets in the way.
Mhm.
In a sense
Yeah.
of like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to do that. I'm just going to man up and do this, and this. It has nothing to do with manning up or this, and this. If that's the way you think, then you're not thinking about your kids the way you should be. My opinion.
What? 25 years is divorce law. 20 of those are focused on men. Let's say 20 years, 2 decades worth of cases.
Yeah.
I live in Los Angeles. There's a lot of women who make a lot of money, who
Right.
are married to men who make less money. No judgment. It's just the way it is. It's just money. In 20 years, I can think of 2 cases where the man was willing to take support that he was entitled to. Men act at their own demise. I've got guys, and I'm like, listen, you're entitled to a couple $1,000s a month spousal support. I can't take that. I don't want that. I'm like, why? If the roles were reversed, it would be an absolute laydown.
Without a
There's no question.
not a skip of a beat. That's
In
the thing.
that same 20 years, I can think of 2 women who wanted nothing from the man, who came into my office, were like, I just need the paperwork done. We're separating. And I'm like, okay. And we just did it, and they walked away. But other than that, it's always about money.
Yeah, it folks, again, if you're listening, and especially you dads out there, unionofdads.com. Go check it out right now. Unionofdads.com. David, it's kind of bringing up some old memories, that are kind of brewing the stuff that I went through. And I've been very transparent on this show in the past, and I've said it before. But, when I was going through my divorce and my custody, with my son, Little Bird, it was one of those things where I don't want to say you get vindictive and you use everything you can to your advantage, but at the same time you use everything you can to your advantage. If the other person's doing something wrong, just make a note. I used to carry around, and dads out there that are going through similar situations, I would recommend you do something like this. But I used to carry around, those wall calendars. I would carry around a calendar. So anytime, there was a scheduled appointment, and if they showed up late, I'd mark it down. If they missed an appointment or missed a meeting, a time with the child, I would write it down. So by the time I went to actual court for the custody thing, I had a whole calendar of just, and you could write a book on it. It wrote itself.
Right.
And I was like,
Right.
listen, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just going to show you this. And I handed it over to the judge, and the judge was just like, this is very detailed. And then looked at her and was just like, you're not showing that you're capable of doing anything.
And that's exactly what men have to do. In my child custody action plan, I talk about the dad's calendar. And I say, like, get a desk calendar.
Yeah.
And all of the things that you do with your kid, get the receipt, staple it to that day. Just staple it to that month, whatever. Put it on there so that you've got all that information. So exactly what you're talking about. And I'm saying just up at a level with the evidence, because when you go in front of a judge, you cannot walk in and be like, I'm a great dad, and think you're going to get 50% custody. Dude,
once you get to know me, you're going to like me.
Here's the deal. There is not a single father who has ever walked into court and said, I'm an alcoholic screw up. Give me 50% custody.
Yeah.
Like, everybody says I'm a great dad. So as a consequence, from the judge's perspective, that's meaningless.
Right.
That's like saying oxygen is part of what we breathe. Like, everybody knows this. So you have to go in and you have to be able to show the judge how you're a great dad.
Right.
Why you're a great dad. And that's what we talk about in the child custody action plan, is like how to get the evidence to show the judge why you're a great dad. Because without it, you're walking into court with nothing. And I guarantee you're going to be walking into a firestorm, and it's going to be, he's a negligent parent. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's an alcoholic. He's abusive. He's a drug addict. He doesn't know how the kids, should be disciplined. He doesn't know their food allergies. He doesn't know their teachers. He doesn't know their best friends. He's never been to the school. And even if you do know all of that,
It's not going
if
to
you're
matter.
walking into court and trying to explain all that to the judge just orally, judge doesn't have time. Judge has already read the papers.
Yeah.
Judge is like, I already made my decision in chambers. Like, forget it, dude. We're out of here. You didn't show up properly.
And it's so sad. Now, here's where I'm going to throw guys under the bus. I think there's a lot of dads out there that don't show up, and I think the biggest thing, and I think one of the things that you're doing with Unions of Dads, you're creating a community there. If you're out there, if you're listening to this right now, and you're a father that's going through a divorce and you have kids, and or you've been divorced for a while and you want more time with your kids, show up. You have to. The first and foremost, you got to look in the mirror, and you have to show up. And everything that David is just talking about, like if you going through the emotional side of it and stuff, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I've been through it. I'm speaking from experience, mind you. It sucks going through it. But you have to put that aside. You got to put your big boy pants on, lace up the boots, and just be like, okay, if you're the type of person like, I would do anything for my kids, then that means you walk barefoot over broken glass and through hell and back twice to ensure that you had time with your kids, or that as much as you can, or custody of your kids for that matter. But you have to show up, and if you're not taking the notes that we're talking about, like David said, the monthly calendar and stuff like that, if you're not tracking that stuff, you're not doing yourselves any favor. Does it suck doing it? Yep. I hated carrying around a big ass calendar. It looked like a fool doing it, but guess what? When it came time for me to go to court, I was happy that I spent 6 months writing every single note on every single day when the other parent was supposed to show up and didn't, or they showed up dropped them off 15 minutes early, or showed up 15 minutes late to pick them up, or didn't make a phone call when they were supposed to, or just ghosted without any explanation.
Right.
It sucks writing the notes, but guess what? It's what you have to do. And if your kids are important, you're not going to question it. You're going to do it, period.
And you had a mindset that men need. And that is the mindset that this is no longer my girlfriend, wife, mother of my children.
Yeah.
This is my co-parent, and we need to do what's best for the child.
Yeah. Well,
and that mindset shift is crucial, because many men in the middle of the breakup don't have that mindset. And I understand why, because so many men, when they're in a relationship, and then they get blindsided with the paperwork. And so they're actually stunned. They're in shock when all of this litigation is happening. It's all the crucial time when they need to be gathering that evidence. They're just like, what the hell happened? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like we just had this great weekend. Our intimacy was amazing. And I'm like, dude, that was a diversion. Yeah. Really? Like, come on. That was diversion sex. Let's get back in the game and understand that the woman you married, the woman that you're in a relationship with, is not the woman that you're divorcing or breaking up with.
Right. Yeah.
But it's crucial for them to change their mindset.
That's your mindset, guys, going through this. We'd be lying to you if you said it was easy, because it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But here's
literally, I had a guy yesterday who's like, just like you, Adam.
Yeah.
Big, burly, successful guy, works hard, in absolute tears because he hasn't seen his kids in 4 weeks. Can't get a phone call through. It's that ghosting that everybody hates, but it's with your kids.
See, and that's the thing that bothers me too. I'm glad you brought that up. Here's the other thing, and this is, we're talking about dads and stuff like that, and what dads need to do, this, we're not, women bashing or anything like that. I want to be clear about that. That's not what we're doing. But I am going to say this: whether it doesn't matter if you're the man or the woman doing it, if you're denying the other parent from talking to their kids, you are wrong. And there's a special place in hell for people like you. I said it, and I stand by it, because I've seen so many of my friends, uh, military, non-military people that have gone through divorce with kids, and they're just like, well, I'm going to do this because I'm going to get as much child support as I can from this person or that board. And again, it doesn't matter whether it's the guy or the girl. Doesn't matter. Does not matter which parent's doing it. It's wrong because you're using your child as leverage at that point, and that is not wrong. That's a shitty parent to do something like that. Again,
That's
my opinion, my show. I can say it. So that's what I'm going to say. You don't have to like it, but if you're leveraging your kids to hurt the other person, then you are wrong for doing that. Period.
and you're nicer than I am because I look at that and I see abuser, I see terrorist,
Yes. Ooh.
I see someone who is using a child as a human shield.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just not acceptable. Like this goes all the way back to like Henry V, Shakespeare. Like you never use the children in the battle.
Yeah.
Like that's against the rules.
Yeah.
And I when that happens, it makes my blood boil because the abuser thinks they're hurting the targeted parent. And they are, no question.
Right.
But the collateral damage done to the child is lifelong damage.
And if you think, as a parent, you think, oh, my child's young enough, they're not going to remember this. Here's the one thing I absolutely love. I love kids. I loved being a dad. I'm done having kids at this point in my life, and I'm certainly okay with that. My son's in his 20, he's 20, and I look back and I loved it when he was little because he was such a sponge. He absorbed so much, and I had to watch myself. It forced me to change who I was at that time because there was things I didn't like and things I needed to change. And I realized, whoa, wait a minute. If he's doing that, he's getting that from me, clearly. And it forces you to change. And I'm a better man today because of that. And he's turned out to be a very, very good young man. I'm very proud of him. But if you think as a parent that your kids aren't watching what you're doing, oh, bless your heart. You're because they're going to mirror everything, and they're going to know. Like if you're, and here's the other. I'll say this real quick, David, is if you're talking bad about the other parent, your kid might not be saying anything to you, but I guarantee that that's going to come back and bite you in the ass later on in life because they're just taking mental notes of it.
And it may bite you in the ass in ways that you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like you think it may be against you, but the reality is that child being told that their other parent is bad or horrible or a terrible person is also internalizing that because they're from that.
Yeah.
Apple trees make apples. You can't bash the other parent and not have it affect the child. And one of the things that's hardest about this is people think, okay, well, they're only 2, they're only like 1, they're only 3. They're never going to remember this. They're not going to remember the words 100% because they're pre-verbal. What they will remember is the emotions.
Yeah.
And the emotions are what are getting hardwired in their brain. And that is why abuse, when it happens in those early stages of development, is so traumatizing and has lifelong implications. Because when a child is put in fear and anxiety at 1, 2, 3, that's creating channels in the brain that are hardwired. Those are deep channels. And you're going to find when that kid's 20, 30, 40, it's drugs, alcohol, sex, criminal behavior, because they've got this underlying fear and anxiety that stems all the way back.
That they didn't realize.
Now they're going to be spending tons of money in therapy with a therapist trying to figure it out. Like, I don't understand why in this way. And it's like, well,
subconsciously,
let's go back.
X, Y, and Z.
Because it's all that subconscious programming. And again, we're back to mindset.
Yeah.
What's the mindset of what the person is going through?
Man, you really.
That's why this stuff is so it makes my blood boil because I'm looking at it like you're not actually hurt. Yes, you're hurting your former partner,
Yeah.
but the damage you're doing to your kid is going to take decades to undo if
Right.
it ever gets undone completely, and it may not.
Those of you listening, open up another browser, unionofdads.com. David, let's talk about this union of dads in the community that you're trying to create here. Talk a little bit about that. What prompted union of dads? You hit it a little on the head a little bit earlier, but kind of elaborate on it. Was this something like you woke up one morning and was like, "This is what I'm going to do"?
It's been an evolution.
Yeah.
It's been an evolution over the years of the last 20 years of working with men and dads going into court and seeing how they don't have the skills to fight for what's right in
Right.
court, but then B, in the community they're all isolated because so many times what ends up happening is you're in a relationship with mom and happy wife, happy life, even if it's just a girlfriend, happy wife, happy life. I'm going to just abdicate. I'm going to do whatever she says, and then it's all going to be okay. So, your fishing buddies, why do you have to go with them this weekend? We've got a birthday party to go to. They're falling away.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't go hunting that weekend because I've got this. Oh, we've got this going on. You have to be there. And before you know it, you don't have any friends. You have no social network that's independent of her and her friends.
Right.
Okay, cool. That works in a small, tight community so long as you stay together forever. But what ends up happening is the relationship falls apart. You end up being pushed out because all of your friends are actually her friends.
Right. And you end up being
And
a
now you're
man
going
without a
through a
compass.
breakup. You've lost your home life. You've lost your kids. You're probably going through financial distress, and you've got no place to share it. So maybe you go on Facebook and you find one of those groups like Dad's Family Support Group, whatever. Great. Glad you're there. It's important for you to have that. You need it. The problem with it is this: if you're in a custody battle, your ex is most likely going to create a false persona, get into that group, and track what you're doing online. You're going to have some friend in your Facebook friends page. It's not actually your friend, it's actually your enemy. And it happens a lot because people
Wow.
post things on social media that they don't think is going to be useful in their custody case. And that's how the opposition gets all of their information. So to combat that, I created the Union of Dads community. It's a private group, it's off Facebook. And the reason why is because this is guaranteed to be a safe space
Okay.
because I know who's coming in. You don't get in just because you have a cute page and 3 pictures of a man and a dog and be like, I love my kids. No, I got to know that you are actually a dad, that you're actually in a battle, and I know who you are. That's one of the reasons why I created it, because you need to have a place to come and share, to vent, and to find solution. So we have times when you're going to come in and you're going to talk about how lonely and isolated and hurt and frustrated and pissed off you are, and it's a place to do that. Great. Now, let's get past that. Let's get into action. What do you need to do to get back in the game? You need to have a place to vent. You need that.
Right.
You also have to be able to have somebody be like, okay, dude, it's time to like buck up now. Let's get back in the game and not beat you up for having those emotions.
Yeah.
Recognize them, validate them, and be like, I hear you. Let's get out of the loss. Let's get into the win.
Yeah. So it's like accountability. You see, you have accountability buddies in there helping
Exactly.
out as well. Nice.
Exactly.
This is great stuff, man. I absolutely love this, and it's so needed. Um, it's crazy to see stuff online, and even God, years and years later, I'm still. In fact, I heard one earlier this week where a guy was like, "I'm not getting to see my kids because of X, Y, and Z. I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Hey, if you got questions, man, or if you just need an ear," I was like, "I've been there. Just let me know." I didn't hear anything, but it's
Yeah.
like you're not alone. You're not alone. Going through this. But I wish there wasn't anything like this, Dave. When when I was going through my stuff back in 2003, 4,
Yeah.
5. So the fact that you're doing this, my hat's off to you. Much respect, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you doing this because there's so many people, and obviously, as you know, being a military veteran, there's a lot of this, unfortunately, in the veteran community and the military community where they go through a
Oh,
divorce and you see stuff like this that happens, and the guys are just like, I don't know what to do, or I can't do this, or I'm just I'm told by the court I have to do this. Okay, I get that you're told by the court, but what did you do to help them make that decision? You know what I mean? A lot of
right.
the time, and in most cases, I would say, I don't really know the number, but I would say more than probably 60% at least really don't have a clue going into it. They're just like, I'm getting a divorce. I'm being told what to do.
Yep.
This is what I got to do.
And that what and we're acculturated to do that.
Yeah,
Think about the way a wedding happens.
yeah,
She spends 15 years planning her perfect wedding with all of her friends, right? Every Friday night over a bottle of wine and some cheese board. Then they spend a year actually planning the actual wedding.
yeah.
What does he do? He spends 16 years drinking beer, having fun, being told, buy a ring that costs 2 months worth of your income. Stupid idea, by the way, never do that. Give it to her. Now it's hers if she actually marries you.
Yeah.
Show up, semi sober, say I do. You are now done with all of your responsibilities.
And she's going to get half if it doesn't work out.
And for some guys, they're lucky if it's just half.
It's, uh, this, so really, those of you that are listening, as you know, this show is a very educational one. And this is why I asked David to come on today because this is a topic that hits very close to home for me, having gone through it. And it's frustrating to see. And again, this is nothing against the ladies out there that are nothing against women. I love you ladies out there. You all know that. But here's the thing: if you're going through a divorce right now, whether you're the man or the woman, do not talk bad about the other parent. Period. I don't care which. Both of you need to be adults about it, and that's emotions are high during situations like this and whatnot. But for the men specifically, for the dads, you have to kind of take a stand. And if you want to, first and foremost, show up. One of the things that really really bothers me is when a man doesn't show up for his kids. And you're just like, oh, whatever, it's the kids, they always complain, they do this, that. Listen, those kids are just as much your responsibility. Show up, because you hear statistically the reason why a lot of kids are doing bad or this or that. You look at it and it's like, oh, because the dad wasn't in their life. And that and here's the thing, some of that might be because the dad didn't know what to do to get the kids.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it there where the dads just kind of turn their head and walk the other direction. Don't be that guy. And again, for those of you out there, dads that are showing up every day, first off, I salute you. God bless you. Those of you that got questions, those of you that need answers, those of you that need an ear to listen, I strongly encourage you to reach out to my dear friend David here. He's here to help. That's what he's doing. He's creating this community of dads. Union of Dads. Go check it out. unionsofdads.com. David, we're coming up on time. Anything else you want our listeners to know?
I do. As one of your listeners, they get a special discount
Oh, okay.
when they join my Union of
All
Dads.
right.
So if they go to unionofdads.com and they scroll to the bottom and they decide, like, I want to do this, I need help. I need to go to dad's law school. I need to get the child custody action plan. I need to learn about discovery and evidence and contempt. I need to learn how to represent myself in court.
Yeah.
I want to join this. So instead of the $97 a month it is, they're going to get 20% off. And they use coupon code HERO1, HERO, the number one. They're going to get 20% off, which takes it down from 97 to about, I think that's like $79 ballpark. And in that, they're going to get all 4 courses in my dad's law school. They get twice a month meetups with me where I'm going to be there live. We're going to answer questions. They're going to have email support. They can join my text group because I've got a text group that goes out sort of daily, 4 times a week, basically, of just short 142 characters. Hey, I know no one said thank you lately, but thank you for all you do. Have a great day. It's just little stuff
Yeah.
to keep you moving forward when you're going through this because it's brutal.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for that. How cool is
My
that,
pleasure.
guys? How cool is it? Go to Unions of Dads, unionofdads.com right now. And if you join the month for the monthly 97, 20% off using promo code HERO1. HERO1. Go check it out. David, man, I appreciate you so much, brother. I do. And thank you
Thanks,
so much
Adam.
for spending time with us today.
My pleasure. Appreciate all you do.
Absolutely. Folks, that's all the time that we have today. This is awesome. Go check out Union of Dads. And if you're looking to join up, make sure you use Hero1 as the promo code. And before we let you go, also go check out our parent network, Heroes Media Group. Go check out all the great shows over there, all the new content that's coming up. And if you're a podcaster or an author, reach out to us. Go to info@heroesmediagroup.com. Send us an email there, and we'll get you on the platform as well. Until next time, you've been listening to The Decision Hour.